welcome to Dr. Ginge and Genius with Dr. Ginge and Genius. Today on the show, Running with Runner Beans, a story about running. Soap ropes, slabs of frothy cleaning that smell like the olden days, and lemonade. Who does truly hate the lemon? So, in the words of my favorite rapper, Chlamydia Treetops, time to bust it in the Berg. So, Patrick, fire up the old Joanna lava balls.
Hello again, denizens of Lord Ran and surrounding regions. You are
also Boletaria and Undead.
I said surrounding regions.
Yeah, but Boletaria is a different world.
All right.
I'm playing Demon Souls.
All right, Lord Man of
Yeah,
Lore. You are listening to Twin Humanities, the Dark Souls podcast starring myself. My name is Paddy. Hello, and friend who just interrupted there is CJ, the brunette.
Hello.
Nice. We're back. We've been gone for a few weeks because I don't know why. Are we lazy?
Well, the last time we had that big chunk o' news with the Edge article and stuff.
Yes.
Where I ran back from WH Smith's and we imparted a few slubbers of news.
I went and bought that issue the next day.
Did you buy it?
I totally did, yeah.
It's a good issue, wasn't it?
It's good, I liked it.
Yeah, I think, is it official PlayStation Magazine have got a Dark Souls cover at the minute?
I think they have. I don't often go in Wooher Smiths, so I don't know.
But yeah, so we've got a chunk of stuff to talk about tonight as well, because there's lots going off with the Souls world, the world of Souls. Hey, baby. So we'll be running across all the.
That's the sound of a man who's joked himself into a corner.
As an aside, there's a one of the work CDs at the moment is this kind of really terrible kind of Funko Souls album, and there's one song on it which is kind of a bit of a sort of a hey baby kind of 70s slab of shit.
Like an yeah.
It's got like a really rapey line in it. There's a bit where it goes like, we says something along the lines of, hey girl, I'm going to come over to your house and do all the things that I want to do to you. Which is a bit like, what?
That is a bit rapey.
It is. Anyway, so we've got lots of really ace stuff that's going off around the Souls community. Plus, as if you follow me on Twitter, you might have seen me kind of trying to plug a bit of it over on Friday or Monday. But I got some time on with Dark Souls 2 last week. I got 3 hours with it.
You unbearable bastard.
I love you too.
I also had an invite for that, but I couldn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
I hate you forever.
I love you too. So, do you want to do the Souls news first and then the Dark Souls 2 stuff afterwards? So if people want to listen to half of the show and then want to go into Dark Souls 2.
Okay, that's good. We'll have a spoiler cut-off bit.
Well, I'm not really.
And we'll say we're going to talk about it now. Like, not spoilers, but we're because I know a couple of our friends on the Twitter, Mr. Martin Charlton, I believe, we were talking to earlier. They want to go in as fresh as possible.
Well, I mean,
we don't want to ruin it for you.
I mean, I understand if those people don't want to know anything at all.
Yeah.
In the article itself, I tried to be vague, if I could be, but specific about mechanics.
Specifically vague.
Yeah,
That's a good band name.
I wouldn't see that band.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage. Specifically vague.
So yeah, in the article I tried to go into mechanics and things that have changed more than like, this is the place where this happens. Oh, here's that place.
This man's name is this, and he's not very nice.
Yeah, Ken from Bletchford. So yeah.
Nice. We'll do the Souls 2 preview at the end.
Cool.
And I have a new character to talk about as well, so we'll do that before we cut for Dark Souls 2.
So Souls news. Souls news.
Souls news.
Baby. I've been playing Dark Souls. I've been playing Demon Souls too. I love that. There was on one of the previous playlists at work. There was one of those sort of big Earth, Wind and Fire kind of type bands, and I'd constantly be in stitches by the guy who had the really high pitched voice. And then there'd always be somebody that would follow up at the end of lines with a really deep voice. But my mind eventually projected them as Muppets. And I imagined like the little bloke as like this tiny little mouse. And then maybe sort of the deeper voiced guy as some sort of, I don't know, like giant elephant or something. Maybe. But it would always be like, singing all these lines to you, baby. Don't forget I'm still in love with you, girl. And it was just... It was just awesome. But anyway, Souls news. Souls news. So I don't know if I mentioned this on the previous one. Actually, I don't think I did. But PewDiePie's now finished his Dark Souls videos.
He has,
and it was really good. Really good.
I agree. I also have watched all of those and was pleasantly surprised as someone who's not a PewDiePie fan.
Yeah, likewise.
Normally. I really enjoyed them. Like, I was surprised. I actually enjoyed myself, and I didn't expect that. So, well played, PewDiePie.
Also, that build that he was rocking towards the end of the game, I've not seen anybody else use that build on a vid. And, you know, everybody's got their own specific sort of styles of playing, and, you know, we all chop and change with the looks that we're using and stuff. But I hadn't seen anybody use that run, and that sort of style of armor, the combinations, and the guy was clearly adept at it by the time he was at the end of the game. And I think it's easy to judge PewDiePie from a distance, as I've mentioned before, because I just knew him from the cliches, but he genuinely got into it, and those videos are incredibly well edited. And I think he said he put 100 hours into the game and 100 hours editing it as well, and it shows. And also, you know, aside from the bits where he's playing and, you know, jumping and screaming and whatever, which didn't get on my nerves, it has to be said. Most of the time, I kind of laughed. But there were moments sort of afterwards where he was saying, "I absolutely adore this game, and I'm playing it beyond the point where I'd normally play something." And it's one of the best games that I've ever played. The sense of reward and release when you get that bit further or you beat a boss is absolutely phenomenal. And I think that's what took me back a little bit in the early episodes that I watched, because I was like, wow, that's almost like you've taken the entertainer's hat off and you're talking to us sort of behind the scenes, if you would.
Behind the YouTube curtain. Yeah,
but I appreciated that, and I was thoroughly entertained by those videos. And I think they've done quite well for him. I've seen a few vids when I was searching for the later ones in particular, where people have put up vids that Dark Souls is ruined, PewDiePie's playing it now and stuff, which is just ridiculous. Because at the end of the day,
they were getting a lot of hits though, weren't they? Because I regularly scroll into the gaming channel on YouTube on the TV because it's there, and it's usually Minecraft and FIFA, lol. But every now and again, one of those Dark Souls ones will be up there, like, oh, cool, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, this is a guy that's playing Dark Souls that has become good at it has entertained within the videos that he's put across, and that's 2 million odd people that might not have ever gone near that game who are suddenly picking it up, which is great. Which, you know, not only adds to us as a community, because maybe a portion of them will click with it, and you know, it might be one of their like favorite ever games, or it might take somebody by surprise, because you know, a lot of people have backhanded recommendations about the game, and I know from talking to folks that stigma of the game being unfairly hard still kind of hangs like a dark cloud over Dark Souls a little bit. And it's only when people get past that and find that that's not the case and that they can handle themselves within it.
I would argue that it's fairly hard. Like, it's hard but fair. Like, it's challenging. Like, it asks a lot of you. And it's not that it's like, because you see a lot of people going, oh, Dark Souls is easy, I've beaten blah, 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 blah. Like, it's not like that at all. It's, if you give it the time, if you play the game the way the game wants you to play it, like, it wants you to be good at it, you die, but it's like, you know, be better. I think try again. You're not dead. It's like, her, you suck. It's her, try again.
I think you said it though. The game wants you to be good at it. And Tanamura said when he was interviewed, he says we don't want people to. We don't think that the game's hard. We just want people to pay attention. And I think that's an aspect that's been lost in a lot of games, because people are kind of, oh, it's a piece of electronic wool. This is the room you've got to go to. So yeah. I don't know. I think that, moreover, if we're growing this community as well, and those people, even if they don't pick up Dark Souls, pick up Dark Souls too, it just means that we're a little further along. And you know, I know we all love the game and stuff, but I think the game has got enough about it to be kind of an all-inclusive club without any degree of dumbing down or easy mode or anything like that. I think that people can get onto that, but that's almost another little issue that I have, to be honest. So I'll go into that after I mute my mic and cough a bit. So yeah, it's something which has been mentioned for a while, but really it's only hit me within the last few days, and that's these black armor weapons that are available in the black armor edition.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't really register with me too much initially. I knew that there were going to be sort of extra weapons available and stuff, but I kind of thought that they were going to be DLC more than anything. That, you know, it's just been kind of reskins of weapons and stuff. And I'm sure I remember saying to you at the time that, you know, if they reskin a load of weapons and they're the same as the ones that we've already got, I'm probably pony up for them anyway.
Here's a golden version of this shield, for instance.
Yeah. You know, here's one with a pink pair of underpants sellotaped on the front. Yeah, they're fetching underpants. I'll wear those. But it seems that the Black Armor Edition carries a set of swords and shields, which are more powerful than the ones that you get near the start of the game. And not to jump into Dark Souls 2 stuff just yet, but I will say that the start of Dark Souls 2 is an exceptional tutorial without it feeling like a tutorial. It was only in retrospect that I kind of realised that it was, I guess. And everything's really finely tuned for taking a new player and running them through mechanics and giving them weapons for moments of bravado and telling them when, I don't know, there's a certain point where you get a weapon that you, if you've been brave enough to tackle a certain enemy, a weapon that you can't hold, and thus you go back and that's the point where you realise, well, if I spend some of my souls, I can put those into strength, and I'll be able to hold it. And hence, sort of teaching people another important mechanic of the game. And
like getting the gargoyle tail axe, for instance. Like you can't even hold this. Don't be stupid.
and if sort of that's removed and people are just hammering into the game, sort of, and those lessons aren't learned, that that feeling of being woefully underpowered is lost. I'm wondering if the early point of Demon Souls, the Demon Souls and the Dark Souls experience has been lost a little bit.
Well, just to cut in, I have heard. Now, this may or may not be right or wrong. That these black armor weapons, you can find them in the game later.
Yeah,
they're in there. But again, like maybe maybe they are locked behind stat requirements. Maybe they are like you can't just pick it up at the start. Maybe you can't get them until you've got past that opening brackets tutorial section. Like it says, oh, you get past that. Oh, there's some stuff in this chest for you. Oh, cool. There's some stuff.
On the other side, to kind of throw another argument at my argument, that point where I got a more powerful sword and I leveled up to use it, and I ended up spending some of the souls that I had on a shield. And that was the point where I kind of went into the game with my old playstyle a little bit, my classic Souls playstyle.
Yeah.
Where if somebody came at me with a dagger or a sword or whatever, I'd take it on the brunt of the shield and then I'd attack. Whereas previously in the start of the game, I'd not got a shield at all. You starting with just a broadsword, and I ended up going into using the experience that I'd had within a two-handed run, and taking that into the fight. Trying to lure an enemy into their attack pattern, and then when they were knackered, launching in.
So I used about the same strategy, to be fair. Like
but,
sort of work them out, ting, and wait for the opening.
But even doing that kind of taught an important mechanic. But I'm not, like I say, at the point where I'd then bought a shield and I was strong enough to wield this sword, I went in, I was using my natural sort of soul style, and I progressed much further. I'm wondering if the point, if somebody's got the black armor, some of the black armor weapons, and they're starting the game with a sword and a shield, as to whether it's only that initial chunk that it really gets rid of, and essentially they're going into battle, being able to block with a decent sword, being able to block with a decent shield, being able to attack with a decent sword, equivalent to the ones that I'd kind of wound through and got by experience.
Worked a bit for.
Yeah. And
I think so.
Is that, if this is the case, is that necessarily a bad thing? Because the stuff that I've been doing up until then was sort of really a lot of it was leaning into the muscle memory that I'd learned from the previous games. So, like I say, it's a lot of speculation, but I wanted to put my initial argument, because I do think it is really, really well structured from the start for new players. But I think it's important to try and deconstruct that as well, because that may be the case. It may just remove that initial chunk, and when the game starts getting harder and harder, and from there, maybe that's the point where they then learn those lessons. I don't know, but
I mean, it sounds like turbo nerd, but I'm looking to see the stats on those weapons, like the black armor weapons, because you never know. Like they say, they're a little bit stronger. It might only be a little bit, like the difference between a long sword and a short sword. Like it could only be that extra little chunk that won't make an amazing amount of difference, but might get you out of a little scrape here or there. I want to see them. I don't think that they'd be stupid enough to unbalance the game at the off. I don't think they'd do that. It's the sort of thing where you have to, even the stuff that you can, like you're buying the weapons essentially, you're getting them as a bonus. I think you're still going to have to like work to be able to use them properly. Because even like you've seen videos of people that have, I've seen it on video, people that have hacked their gear, so they've got plus 15 shield, blah blah blah, sword out off the bat, and they're still getting hit all over the place. Like you still have to learn to play the game. Like just having a bit of a better gear. If you're not in tune with blocking and dodging and moving, I think you're still going to take those hits, and I think you're still going to die.
But I do love, there was a Sunlight Blade video of attacking hackers, which was absolutely wonderful. Seeing people with sort of stupendous amounts of health that were just there to harass people in the game, being taken off guard when they were sort of kicked off a ridge and stuff. I love that.
I saw that one. And this is probably a good just point to interject. That if you're not watching Sunlight Blade videos, our listeners, you really should, because they're really good. His top 10s have been brilliant.
Have you seen the latest one, the Faith Guild?
The Faith one, yes.
Wow. I will stay now. I think that is the best video he's ever put out.
Yeah, and that number one is
one of the
coolest things I've ever seen in the game. It's astonishing. But
the thing is, this in previous ones, you've kind of gone. Well, I've sort of gone. Wow, number 7 was really good. I could have seen that a little bit higher in the rankings, but all of like 1 to 10 were absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. But that number 1, head over heels above
exemplary.
Yeah, and it's as a member of the community as well. It's great to see someone that found their own niche, that started doing these videos, and is becoming more and more professional, and they sort of hang together better and better, like week on week. I know he got a new computer and stuff at Christmas, and the likes of I think he said that people like Varty have helped him out a little bit with editing, or at least a few tricks.
Cutting and chopping. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's the workflow's the hard bit when you're video making, rather than once you've got the basics down, it's all right. It's the workflow of working through it.
Yeah, but you've edited videos before, and you know how tough that can be. So the fact that there's sort of more or less a new video every week is superb. So. It's
superb work.
Yeah,
I don't know how he finds the time.
But the Faith Kills ones, I think what made it kind of special, I guess, was a lot of that was stuff that I just not even vaguely gotten near using. The Karmic Justice stuff looks ace.
I've seen a bit of Karmic Justice stuff before, but again, seeing it being actually used in a real scenario to get kills is brilliant, amazing. Because as an attacker, I wouldn't see that coming.
Yeah, it made me sort of think that I've used the sort of Force Blast. I don't think what it's called now.
Emit Force?
Yeah, I've used sort of variations of that before, but it made me think that the next time I'm in PvP with something like that faith-wise, that rather than trying to use it straight away, it might be an idea to, I don't know, keep a trick in the back pocket so that people think that they've got the measure of you, and then sort of bust it out when they're near a ledge, or just be a bit more canny rather than going, I could use this one now. Oh, I've got this one, which I can get a little bit like
just run in and lol, Wrath of God.
Yeah. So yeah, but that it's sieged in sort of quite nicely, really. But yeah, the new one's a belter. But if you're not subscribing to Sunlight Blade's channel, you really, really should.
Yeah, Sunlight Blade YouTube, go get some.
Yeah. So on a YouTube tip as well, Dave Controlled Live has put out he's doing some exceptional lore videos, absolutely exceptional. They've proper been knocking my socks clean off, and it's winter, my feet are cold.
Oh no!
But the latest one is a video on Lord Gwyn, and it really, really is outstanding. Loved it to pieces. Watched it about 3 times. It's very, very detailed. Goes into a number of other characters as well, and has sort of spun me off into a few other sort of trains of thoughts that I don't know. You always see see Gwyn as the big bad villain, but you know, is this the man that sacrificed himself to keep the fire going? You know, Gwyn built New Londo ruins for the people to have a place to. I know to look up towards their gods. He put 4 kings in charge who ended up betraying him.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It makes Gwyn seem more noble than I'd pegged him for, really.
Yeah.
And also the fact that he's seemingly waiting for the chosen undead to be worthy enough to replace him. And one of the motifs which continually grows on me with Dark Souls is that essentially you're the villain. And that you're undoing this world, which is twisted and broken, and there's tons and tons behind the scenes that's gone on even before you got there. But it goes into a lot of detail, and it's belting. But Dave Klein's putting out some superb stuff, and he's just started a new King's Field run as well. I'm not sure which one he's doing this time, but it's always interesting to see where souls have been. You know, the roots that they've grown out from, and also, you know, these little sort of ticks of similarity, like the Moonlight Sword and stuff.
From had a hand in a space game called Echo Night Beyond, I think it was.
Yeah.
Which me and Laura, we bought it, and it's not very good. It's this. I didn't know it was a From game at all. Like until after I played it, like until way after I got rid of it. Oh, that was a From game. Oh, that was odd. There's ghosts, and nothing's really explained. And you run around a bit of a space station getting lost, and then every now and again a ghost comes, and you get scared and you die. That's PS2.
All right.
PS2. We couldn't work out how to deal with ghosts other than turn around and run away. And even then, they were still getting us. It's like it just took a little bit longer. So, if there's ever an oblique game and you want to play something and be confused as fuck, Echo Night Beyond.
I might try and find it. Do you find it at CEX or something like that? Yeah,
it won't be expensive. It'll be like £1. Like, you won't have trouble.
Right. In streaming terms, as a recommendation from Woodfella on Twitter, there's something going on Twitch at the moment called Dark Souls Nights. Now, I've not checked it out myself yet, but I hear really, really good things about it. So that's one to kind of, for me to bookmark for next time. But I thought I'd pass it on because apparently it's really, really good. What I have been watching is Tamor from CVG has been streaming a Dark Souls run.
Oh, right.
And it's been great. Not just to see the man sort of battling through various areas. Great comments screen with some really nice folks in there as well, including me. And also to see Tamor completely trolled by his cat constantly. It's amazing. Yeah. The cat's nearly unplugged the Xbox, nearly turned it off. Has lay on his controller hand when he's trying to play. Then sat up on his knee and just stared him out. Because I was saying that are you sure that cat's name isn't Alvina? And Tamor was like, oh, they've named the cat, but I didn't realise that he hadn't been to the forest yet. I was like, you're going to get a big surprise when you get there.
Yeah.
But
that's why I can't play games when I've got our chinchillas out. They just jump on your hand. You're like, piss off! I'm trying to get off with you bastard. No,
Yeah. What Mary Poppins explained as chinchillery. But yeah, it's really good. It's the CBG stuff's going off on Thursday nights. At the minute, but it's really good, and I'm quite bummed out that I'm working this Thursday, so I can't.
Well, Thursday's the one night this week I've got off, so I might even tune in. Yeah,
do it. Represent Twin Humanities over there. Plus he gave us quite a nice plug last time, which was really appreciated.
Thanks, Tamor.
Cheers, mate.
Thumbs up.
Yeah. One thing that I noticed the other day with regards to Dark Souls, we mentioned. Dark Souls 2. We've mentioned all the bonus stuff that's available at different retailers.
That there's too much of it and it's all in different places.
Yeah, Zavi have got the graphic novel. Shop 2 have got a free iPhone 5 cover. Amazon have got the metal art cards.
Yeah.
What else? Game have got the T-shirt, and I think a number of indie retailers have got the poster.
Yeah.
There's
Interesting. The game T-shirt is the T-shirt that I got.
Yeah, I know.
That I paid the gold price for.
You beast. And I've actually seen it as a flesh now, and it's very good.
It's majestic.
But there's another one,
which
has come to light in the last few days, and it's really nice.
Oh.
And also, I get the feeling it's going to be quite rare, because I don't know if there's going to be the equivalent of these in other countries and stuff, but HMV has got the Japanese artwork as the front cover.
Oh, yeah. I saw that.
And that Japanese artwork is lovely.
That's really annoying.
Yeah, it is.
Can they not just make, like, ultimate pack-in box and, like, charge £100 for it and say, just buy that? From all of them? Go on, because I'll buy that.
What they need to do is they need to just add a few extra bits of that Web Harlan version that we mentioned earlier. Yeah, if they did an ultimate packing box, one for the likes of Blighty, and it had the Black Armour edition, a plastic box with the Japanese cover in the same way as like the last story had like a steelbook and the actual regular packing game.
Oh, I think.
So if they had those, then they had a copy of the graphic novel, the metal art cards, T-shirt, and a poster.
The little box of weapons.
Oh god, if you're adding all the Japanese stuff in there, you'd be paying God knows how much. I mean, that Web Harlan version's about £180.
Yeah, it's only money, isn't it?
Yeah, thanks for that. But on that front, we did invent, because Paddy and I actually met for the first time the other week.
Real life bro up.
I know, but we did invent the Twin Humanities sandwich. So that the Twin Humanities sandwich is we had round white cobs, or as you call them, baps or rolls or something.
Baps.
I don't know. Round white cobs.
Baps.
It sounds like round white cobs. Baps.
This is that song again. this is your 70s funk.
So round white cobs. We
Baps.
had buttered. Then we had we had a layer of discussion on this, but I'm going to give my version of it because the layers were important, but also mine were right.
This is the incorrect version.
Lettuce, then cheese. Although you selected plastic cheese.
Plastic cheese.
Which kind of worked, strangely enough. Then corned beef, tomatoes, cucumber, and then top of that buttered cob.
Bap.
So that is officially the Twin Humanities sandwich. So it should be quite cheap. So if you are trying to save a bit of money, yeah, if you are trying to save a bit of money in the run up to Dark Souls 2, that might be the way to do it. Also, I'd recommend, this is something that I am doing at the moment, get 2 packets of cheap noodles, some mixed veg, and if you've got a bit of it, some kind of corn mince, because it's really, really quick and easy to do. Put the corn mince and the mixed veg in with the noodles once they're done, and essentially like 2 packets of Sainsbury's, Tesco noodles is about 22p. Big bag of mixed vegetables is about £1. Probably pay a bit more than that for the corn mince. You've got a decent sized meal, which costs balls all. And the money that you would normally throw towards a meal, you can throw into a pot for more of those goodies that are going to set us back £1 million zillion to get all the versions.
Speaking of goodies that will send you £1 million zillion back, again, Souls News.
Souls News.
Souls News. You're listening to Souls News.
Baby.
An artist that you have mentioned on the podcast once or twice that I have now been chatting to on Twitter, a lovely man called Stu Linfield.
Yeah. Oh
is
God, yeah.
he's making a set of Dark Souls prints. His wonderful, wonderful artwork that I think we've tried to retweet. I know I've retweeted one or two of them, and I know you have. But yeah, he is Stu Linfield on Twitter, STU Linfield, and he is in the process of setting up to print some Dark Souls prints, some sort of limited edition prints. One of which is the bonfire with a crow, with like a Velka crow on it, which is beautiful. And there's a couple of sneaky hints as to what his next ones are going to be as well. The actual tweet he gave me was, "Man, a Sif, I'd give you a hint." Can you do you pull that apart? Do you see what he did?
No, my brain's dead after today.
Think Manus if.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, but with capitalization on the Sif as well. So there's two. But yeah, they will be coming in the next few days, and I'm probably going to buy all of them because I am a whore.
But also, Stu is a stonking artist. He did a sketch of what was it? It was Sif and
Artoris, wasn't it?
Sif and Artoris, because he was asking for sketches one night to do. And he did a Sif and Artoris sketch, and he was amazing. And I'm hoping that might be one of the prints. Although, when you mentioned Dark Souls prints, I was just imagining like running through Lordra and like, I was dreaming when I wrote this, forgive me if I go too far. Dim, stab.
Jesus. But yeah, those will be going up soon. And he's a lovely man. And he apparently lives near me, which I found out the other week and was blown away by. And I think he knows my little sister. Like, what the fuck? What a small world.
But great artist, so yeah. We'll put the link at the bottom of the YouTube gubbins and on the Tumblr page as well.
Yes, I will try and remember to put the link on.
Yes.
And then when I don't, you can shout at me on Twitter, and then I will tell you the link.
So Dark Souls 2 guides now available to order everywhere, because I know when it was first announced, it was only on Amazon US.
Yeah.
And it is. I had an email about it from Amazon UK today, but when I ordered it, the cheapest place in Blighty to order it was Book Depository. But check your local establishments and get the best version. But that's the one that Epic Name Bros co-written, I believe.
Oh, see, no, I'm really, really, really in two minds about the guide, because I think a lot of the fun is discovering stuff. Like, I think with a guide there, I think you're too tempted just to have a little sneaky look. Like,
yeah, but I had the guide for the first game, and didn't use it at all for bosses or any of that gubbins. But it was amazing to look up and go, right, I've got this sword that I've taken to +10. If I take it to +15 normal, what will my stats be? If I take it to lightning run, what will the stats be? And just kind of trying to ascertain, I've got this weapon, I'm going to do I like the way it swings, I'm going to take it through, I don't know, intelligence. What will the stats be from there? And I don't know. It was nice to use it as an on-couch reference rather than going onto the wiki and then punching in for such and such a weapon, or which you can do. But as a collector, the first one was really well put together, but suffered from the fact that there was an early patch and a lot of those stats changed. But still, it's a really nice thing to have.
Well, isn't this one going to be out slightly after the game? Because again, they don't want to have that happen.
Well, they said that, but
plus, I think it helps keep it, like, you'd be more tempted to just look up the answers. Like, I want the internet to not know how to do stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to get that with guides, but I'm not asked about doing that anyway.
Yeah.
But as a fan, it's something that I'd like to have here. Plus, the first one sold out exceptionally quickly. If you go online now and you look at the prices of it, it's way over like 100, 200 quid.
No.
Yeah, but there's going to be a point where after your initial run, you might want to do something different, or you might be on the bog and fancy having to read about something.
As you do.
Yeah, but I'd recommend getting it because I really like the first one.
Yeah. The only other concern I have about it, and this is going to sound like a dig, but it isn't a dig. It's just a legitimate concern. Okay. So Epic Namebro is quite involved with this one, isn't he? Like he's helped write it. And he likes his lore. Like he really likes his lore. He makes lore videos. He likes his lore. I am worried, and not massively worried, just ever so slightly worried that they'll put too much lore in the book. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't want it to. I still want to find things out. I don't want it to be whole pages about the backstory of this, that, the other. I want it to be kept to the item descriptions. I want it to be kept to conjecture and working things out. It probably won't be. Like the guys at Namcos were, no, don't put it all in. Just I'm just ever so slightly worried that the answers will just be there rather than letting the community work them out.
I don't think he put the lore in.
Well, I hope so. I'm confident. I'm pretty hopeful that it won't. But there's just never sounds like niggling worry that you'll turn a page and it'll be like, oh, the entire history of Lord Gwyn. Like, I don't really want to know that. No.
Well, a lot of the lore in Dark Souls has always been down to speculation. So I don't think they'll put that stuff in the guide. I think, well, off the top of my head, I'd say that Epic Namebro knows that stuff that, on the one hand, that he can make the best of within his own videos afterwards.
Oh, Christ, because he's going to be right about all of that stuff, isn't he?
Well, he's all I'd say is he's had an extra run up at it, but it doesn't mean that he's going to have all the answers to it. Not at all. So yeah, it'll be interesting. But there was a mention or a little debate on Twitter last week as to because when Marcus came out and said that he thought Dark Souls 2 was better than Dark Souls, a lot of us kind of went, "Oh right, cool."
Yeah.
And Matt Lees said that once somebody takes money for something, that their opinion becomes invalid because they're essentially invested. They've taken money for something, and I can see that point entirely. And there are people that who are countering that with, it's a trusted member of the community, and
yeah. It's hard to look, even if you are, it's hard to look objective when you've taken money for a thing.
Yeah, I think that's true, but for me, the guy gets the benefit of the doubt until proved otherwise. I mean, I can be a skeptical, non-trusting person at the best of times. What's that great quote that a skeptic is an optimist with experience or something? A pessimist is an optimist with experience. That's the one. But I don't know. I give him the benefit of the doubt. With regards to the guide and the stats and stuff, I believe review code is now going out.
That's quick.
Well, I think Dark Souls had a good month or so.
Month
or so lead into actually coming out because yeah, I think those stats will be there unless they seek to patch things. So yeah, I'm curious.
Interesting.
Yes.
I think we should probably discuss my new character now before we sit here until midnight. I think this, unless you've got anything else, this is the last thing I've got before we break into Dark Souls 2.
Let me have a look. I think we've covered sort of most of the news. I think a lot of the prominent Souls YouTubers are waiting for the game to be released so that they can
calm before the storm, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. And I know Varty's mentioned that he's got some stuff planned, and I get the feeling that he's probably played a bit more than everybody else has.
Yeah.
But Yeah, there was a video that Dave Klein put up from there was an event held by Namco in San Francisco.
Community event, wasn't it?
Yeah, and there were lots of people from the tubes that that were playing sort of there, and don't know. It's interesting to see, and this is kind of backing up the Epic Name Bro thing. There were lots of those people that were coming out and going, "Oh my god, it's great."
Mm.
So that makes it more than one voice in the wilderness.
Yeah.
And I know Matt Lees has had his concerns with the stuff that he's played thus far, but has admitted that he played those in an event with, you know, loads and loads of people there, and he doesn't know if, you know, he'll have greater focus when playing it on his own at home, which is a nice little caveat to add. But yeah, and obviously I've kind of had a bit of a go at it myself. So,
but before we get into that, before we start hitting this rabbit hole, I started another run the other week because I finished my two-hander run. I'm not sure if we talked about that on the podcast or not, but I finished my two-hander run majestically and quite a decent lick as well towards the end. Like I was walking through it with the Black Knight Greatsword fully upgraded. You can walk through a lot of stuff.
Because I'm struggling with my two-hander run. I'm not lying.
There's a point where it makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a point where all of a sudden it clicks, and you can, you know, the intermediate giants in Anor Londo before you get into the Sentinel room. With a bit of work and a bit of footwork, you can take them out in a single hit with the Black Knight Greatsword. A single hit. It's staggering. Like whoa, night and day. Like, amazing. And then once you get the rhythm of it, it's like anything, you get the rhythm and you're good. But yeah, I finished that run. It was majestic. It was great fun. And then I decided to start a new run. Because this was my shieldless, you know, I was playing my shieldless two-handed run. So I thought, what's the opposite of that? Shields only. So I made a new character. I called her Brooke Shields.
Well played.
Yep, thank you. And I think I picked the bandit, because it had the spider shield and it looked the coolest out of all the shields that were there. It's got a spider on it, for Christ's sake. It looks cool. And yeah, I jumped in for a shield-only run. And let me tell you, it does not fuck about. Like,
So which shield are you using? And
oh, Christ.
So you're two-handing the shield, is that right?
I mostly am two-handing the shield because you get a bit of extra damage out of it. And when you've just got a shield, your damage output is pitiful. Like, it is butts. You are weak for a long time. And I've been upgrading the strength and upgrading the shields, and you are still weak. You are still a weak person. Although there are a few interesting things you can do with shields that I didn't know until this run. You can dual wield them. You can have one on one and one on the other. So one for blocking and one for attacking, which is actually quite an interesting idea. Because you could put a nice, good, solid, heavy, slow shield on your left arm, like, for the sake of argument, Havel's, and then maybe the spiky shield of Kirk on your right arm and attack with that.
Is that really your aim to get Kirk's
that could
shield?
be it. But two-handing the shield gives you other options, because when you two-hand the shield, you don't get a parry anymore, which is fair. You don't get a parry. But you do get the shield I was using anyway, which I think I ended up with the Knight shield that you pick up in the parish, the red and blue quartered shield.
Yeah.
When you hit the R2 button and do the R2 attack, you do a little sort of charge and bonk, like run, smack. Run, smack. Like it's it's like a little sort of it's slightly slow. But the good thing about it is when you're running forward, the shield actually blocks.
Oh, right.
So you can actually advance on your foes, and you can sort of ting them out of their animations. With a decent, good bit of stability, good bit of poise. You can actually sort of, block their animations by running at them. And when I worked that out, all of a sudden, like, it wasn't, it's not like I'm going to start walking through it again. But it was making more sense, and I was, making progress a bit faster. I have been utilising every dirty trick that I know to get through. Like, for example, chucking the alluring skull in the fire with the giant pig.
Oh, yeah.
Because because I did try fighting him normally with a shield, and fuck that.
Because you're worth it.
It's misery. It's utter misery. I had to go the long way around there as well. I got through the gate to kind of chase the guy down that drops the gate in that bit. Got through the gate, and then a second undead soldier came through, and they beat me. Just two normal undeads just kicked my head in. And then I had to go the long way around to get my shit back. I've tried this time as well. I've tried to do each boss fight a good few times. You know, we're talking between 5 and 10 times without summoning, and then I will summon because, you know, don't nobody got time for that.
You are so street and deaf and fresh.
Know it. But yeah, I've summoned help, and like Solaire is kind of helpful, but again, you've still got to do a fair bit of work. I mean, even the bog standard undead, you know, the ones on the little way up from Firelink up towards the undead berg, even with a decent shield with a bit of upgrades, they still take 4 or 5 hits to take out. You know, it's not simple at all. Like you really have to focus on what you've got on, what shield you've got, whether you're going to two-hand it or not. You know, and again, stamina management is way tougher, because you've got a shield all the time. Like you have to fight the urge to be constantly blocking.
So what prompted the run?
Novelty.
Yeah.
More than anything, like I kind of, you get in your head, like you think of stupid gimmick runs. Like for example, like the Sunlight Blade videos, you know, top 10 faith kills. Like, I could do a faith run. You know, you think, I'm going to do a stupid run. I'm going to give myself a stupid limitation. Like, it's no different to one broing. You know, I'm going to give myself something really dumb and see if I can still beat it. So I thought, well, I'll just do one with big weapons. Let's do one with no weapons. No magic, no talismans, just shields, and it is proving to be a tough old beast. I've only upgraded 2 stats so far, health and endurance. There seems to be utterly no point to levelling anything else up. The endurance particularly, and the health, because you're going to take more hits, because it takes much longer to do anything, and you're much more likely to get hit. And again, I'm now stuck on this awful thing. Do I go light armour and move about, or do I go heavy armour and take the hits? It's a tough one. It's a tough old bean, and it really is. And I'm enjoying working it out, but it is taking time. I think I've only got as far as I nailed Capra in one go.
What?
I was as stunned as you.
How?
There was some liberal firebombing, admittedly, but I used all of them up, and he still had half his health left.
Oh, fair play.
Yeah, and I managed to get the dogs out of the way quite early. And again, I don't fucking know how. Like, I looked around. The dogs are dead. Did I kill them? I think I've killed them. Shit.
With the shield? With
the shield. I think it was that running R2 attack, like because you can block with it, and even if they're biting, it won't bite you. You'll just punch through them. But yeah, somehow I beat Capra in one go without a weapon. Like, that's got to be one for the books. Like, I have problems beating him with weapons. Like, and you think, did that just happen? Mm-hmm. Like, is he going to wake back up again? Is this just a joke? Well, is another one going to drop in? Was this too easy? But no, it was great, and I've not progressed past there because the depths, frankly, can fuck off.
Yeah.
The butchers, Jesus, that is when it gets. The butchers is when it gets real.
Yeah, but you realise that when was it we started this malarkey? Was it last January?
It was early int year, definitely.
Yeah, and it's. You know, the reason that we started this off was I'd had times with the games you'd taken my recommendation with Demon Souls and enjoyed it, and we're coming to Dark Souls New, and it's really kind of cool that the monster that's been created from this, but it's just like you know, I've joked before that you know Dark Souls may let you play other games, but it doesn't let you play them for very long. But when you start doing sort of the different runs, you know, like the Soul Level 1 run or the two-handed run or this frankly fucking ridiculous shield run, it just I don't know, it just emphasizes that it's difficult to leave this world alone. But the more that you try and test this world by swathing yourself in weaknesses, you realise how much further that you're actually getting, and sort of how well designed the world truly is to that it's almost seemingly taken account for somebody trying this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I'm amazed that I've got as far as I have. Honestly, like I've beaten Capra without a shield, like without a weapon. What the actual hell? Like, it astounds me that you can do it. Like, they've given you options that you can do it. Like, it's not recommended. You know, it's dumb, and you'll die a lot. And trust me, I've died a lot. I've died a lot on it. But it's doable. Like, and it's not horrifyingly hard. Like, you can work your head around it. It just takes, again, just stepping back, looking at it, and thinking, right, we need to approach this in this way, because this way isn't working and this way isn't working, but we'll try it this way and see what happens.
So yeah.
And by the way, while we've been talking, I did just look it up, and our very first episode went up on the 27th of February 2013. So we are, at the day of recording,
Blimey,
we are almost a year old.
Happy birthday, yo!
Oh, it's my birthdays!
No.
I didn't know that. I'm glad we looked that up, because now I'm wow. Oh.
You have a heart of gold. Don't let them take it from you.
Umbasa indeed.
Umbasa.
It sounds like umbasa to me. It sounds like the kind of word that would be the word of the day on a quiz show. Umbasa indeed. The word of the day. You win a jet ski.
Well, I kind of, as another little aside, I'm going to be doing the Cane and Rinse on Demon Souls in a few weeks.
Oh!
So hence I'm trotting around in the world again, and it made me realise that in the news today there's lots of talk of Scottish independence, and it just makes me think that if we don't respect Scotland, that when the end of the world comes, that there'll be nobody to hold our stuff. There'll be nobody to make us weapons. Essentially, we're fucked without Scotland. So if you know someone that's Scottish, you better be nice to them, because otherwise you're going to be dead when the fog hits and all the souls come.
Otherwise, your weapons and armor will be useless, and you'll have to carry them all at once.
Yeah, and you don't want that to happen, because you have a heart of gold. Don't let them take it from you.
Stockpile Thomas, one of the only nice people in the whole world. Like, unconditionally nice. But yeah, no, that's really cool. Like, I can't wait to hear that. I want to listen to that.
I'm looking forward to it. James, who's guested on the show before.
James, he of the giant pitch.
Yes, is going to be part of it. So I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, it's interesting coming back to playing Demon Souls again, because I often flick flack as to which one I like the best. And it was weird last week playing Dark Souls 2, because there's a lot of Demon Souls in it. A lot of Demon Souls in it. And there's, I mean, on the face of it, I'd say that Dark Souls is the natural evolution, but there's something about Demon Souls that I can never quite put my finger on. And I love the sense of design. I mean, being back in the Nexus, it's just an astonishing place to be. And there's
hearing that music kick in.
There's a feeling in Dark Souls that you're never truly that far away from a bonfire, that one could always open up. And Demon Souls has a real fear to it that you better get to the end of that level.
No.
And the enemies just seem genuinely chilling. And I think there's a more human edge to Dark Souls, maybe. But it just feels there's this wonderful coldness to Demon Souls that I just find fascinating, and I don't know. It just feels even more like everything is out to get you.
Yeah.
And I know there's that element to Dark Souls as well. But whenever I return to Demon Souls, it's not like I look upon it sort of like, oh, it's the one that came before. I always, maybe it's because it was my first, but I constantly look at it with this sense of awe towards the design. I just think it's, give me design any day of the week over photorealism. I just think this is beautiful, and you know, a few people have when I've mentioned that, you know, there's still rumblings that Sony have got Demon Souls 2 to announce, and a few folks have said, well, you know, both of them can't coexist. They can. They absolutely can.
Totally.
I'm invested in the world of Boletaria as much as I am sort of Lordran and, you know, and now Drangleic. But
I mean, Boletaria has got more. If anything, Boletaria's got more gaps in it. Like,
yeah.
Because like, whereas Dark Souls whereas Lordran is one place, it's one long, you know, interconnected place, but it's one area. You can run from one end to the other. Boletaria is 5 very different places.
Yeah.
Isn't it? And you know, there's a lot of gap in there. There's lots of room to mess around there.
Yeah, and they never. Well, they didn't focus on the lore as much with Demon Souls as they did with Dark. That was much more of a focal point with the spiritual sequel. But in the back of my head, I imagine what the announcement trailer might be, and I kind of think of I don't know, even stuff sort of setting up a world or setting up monsters, or even if it was there was a tale of a broken place.
Yeah.
And the broken place turned out to be that archstone. And just the end of kind of the video, from showing all these monsters and this wonderful land, it was like it then just zoomed in and like the screen went black and you just hear, "Does that seek soul power?" And I'd be like, I'd seriously be in tears if I heard those words again.
I think your face would fall off.
I genuinely do. I think it can stand on its own 2 feet. I think the 2 games can be competitors. I think competition's good, because they know that you'd be building a common audience for one, but if one of them fucked up and the other didn't, then that would take the lead. I mean, Call of Duty and Battlefield have been competitors. Battlefield seems to have kind of taken the kudos from what I can tell from afar.
But from Battlefield seems to be more broken these days, so it's flapping back and forward almost weekly, from what I understand.
I mean, outside of, you know, it's next gen sort of status at the moment, people generally seem to be talking about Battlefield in a more positive light than Call of Duty these days. But that competition is healthy. It might mean that, I mean, Call of Duty have got a new team for the next game, and obviously you've got the likes of Titanfall kicking in now to Destiny around the corner. You've got a few different people that are going to try and steal that crown. I think competition is good between Demon Souls and Dark Souls, and I'm invested in Boletaria. I'm invested in these people, this land, and I want to know more of it. And as much as I absolutely loved Dark Souls to pieces, I'm not sure there's a moment in Dark Souls that rivals the sheer level of fuck off as there is when you pick up the Stormruler sword and you crack the sky as you try and bring down that massive manta ray that's all over the sky. It's just, you see it, and when you first get to that level, and you're like, what? And then you get that sword and you do that swing and you go, and it's like, what's going on? And it feels like, I mean, you do a decent amount of damage, and obviously thereafter you probably try and pick off the smaller manta rays first, but there's this real degree of almost like standing in front of a movie screen and just going, oh my god, and I'm doing damage. How is that happening? That's massive. I feel like a god. Spears. But it's amazing, and I can only imagine what it would be like with the power of a PlayStation 4 as to what the Nexus might look like, or as to how they expand on the world of Boletaria. Plus, I'd say if Sony have got this in their back pocket and they're waiting for the moment, perhaps at E3, whatever it might be, And God knows if they did a Demon's Souls PS3, I'd be like, "Brr." But I think that would be the reason to buy a PS4 for a lot of people. But I think it would be a system seller. And looking across the block, you know, all the stuff about Titanfall this weekend has been pretty huge.
Yes, it's gone down well. It's been getting some good press.
I mean, people talking
people
about it.
playing it and like it, like people just going on Twitter and saying, "I really like it." Like that's good.
Well, I think it was Rich Stanton that said that it seemed like a first person platinum game, and that he put him in mind of Vanquish and stuff, which I think it was Sean Bell sort of mentioning it, and I was like, really? So yeah, I think Sony needs something like that, which screams you can only get it on PS4.
Yeah.
And if to me, Demon's Souls 2 would do it, but if they are timing it for after Dark Souls 2 has built up a little bit of momentum, a new audience, a bigger crowd, that seems timely. So yeah,
speculatory. So moving on from speculation, then let's do our big wee-oo, wee-oo. If you're looking to go into Dark Souls 2 completely fresh, now is the time to move on. If you are leaving us now, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
But from this point on, it's going to be Dark Souls 2 all day, every day.
Yeah, I got an invitation to go down to Namco Bandai in London, and
you bastard.
Yeah, through Plus XP, who I do a little bit of scribbling for and stuff. And the initial plan was to catch a 3:35 a.m. bus,
which is staggeringly early. Like that's not even a real time.
Yeah, I kind of got home from work. I think I finished at 6:30 the night before, and just kind of I was thinking, right, get home, go to bed, wake up about 1:45, have a bath, get everything else together. But I ended up like sort of twatting about with getting the bag together, all the things that I needed, and my iPod has got a sort of dementia, so it lasts about 20 minutes now. And I bought a memory stick for my little cheap Tesco tablet thing, and foolishly some sort of memory card reader from the pound shop, which doesn't seem to acknowledge memory cards. So I was trying to find a way of getting some music on this little tablet and stuff, and didn't end up going to bed until about 9 o'clock, I think. So I didn't really get much sleep. But got up, got a bath, got ready, drinking a big cup of coffee, sort of on the net, having a look at the football news and stuff. And on the radio, the news came on at 3:31, and I sort of went, what? And I looked at the clock on my PC, and it was 3:11. And my PC's done this before, where it's fucked about with the time, but hadn't done it for ages. And it's normally like, you look at the clock and it's like 2 hours earlier or whatever it might be, but it hadn't done it for like ages.
Yeah.
Well, succinctly at this point, it had reduced the time by 20 minutes. So I just thought I was doing all right for time. I was about to kind of get my stuff together and leave the house and have a wander down to the bus station, which, as you know, isn't really that far from my house.
It's a very short hop, skip, and a jump.
So yeah, I cannoned out of the house, like running at stupid speeds, with not realising how pathetic Converse can sound on echoey, empty streets. As I was like, it was almost like kind of swimming flippers. I was like, smack, 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 as I sort of ran
pounding into the cobbles.
Yeah, and just trying not to stop, because I was thinking, can I actually get to the bus stop in 4 minutes? And I got down to the bus station, as the bus was pulling away.
Ooh.
And I wasn't sure if it was going to go straight ahead after it turned round, or if there's kind of a bit of a curve, and I didn't know if it was going to go on the road in the opposite direction. And if it had gone on the road in the opposite direction, I could have ran up and possibly met it and got on.
Waved it and gone, please stop.
But it didn't. It just kind of grumbled away into the distance, and I was absolutely defeated. Because that bus would have got me into London at 7:20.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know London at all. I didn't know sort of quite how to negotiate the tube, or if I should walk, or I realised that if I was to walk there, I could do it in about an hour and a bit.
Yeah.
I was thinking that, maybe do that, because maybe it probably sound daft for people that live in London or around a bustling area, but a bit fearful of the tube. I didn't,
it's complicated. I had to really think when I travelled on it recently. I had to really, really write all my stations down on a bit of paper.
Yeah.
Well in advance.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm familiar with sort of a fair few cities, and Manchester's really kind of my city of calling, if you will. And I'm all right with the tram system there and stuff, and I know the city like the back of my hand. But I just didn't know London. I was a little bit fearful of it. But that amount of time gave me room to get a master plan together, or just even bollock about with a cup of coffee for a bit, and just take a breath before I ran at the next stage.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I prodded at my phone on the way home, and I managed to get cheap tickets down there. I got it was 16 quid all told, something like 7 quid there, 7 quid back,
okay.
and 2 quid insurance or whatever it was. So I was like, yeah, that was a good price. But on the way home, the next single out was 25 quid. More than over a third more than I kind of paid initially. So I was wandering home thinking, what am I going to do? And I just thought, dark souls. So I rang up National Express and sort of pleaded to the bloke and to see if I could get on the next bus anyway. He only let me off sort of 2 quid of that, which I presume was the insurance, and so it cost me 23 quid to get on the next bus. I got on the bus and I was sitting about halfway down, and you could smell the stench of the toilet from halfway up. There was no air seemingly in there. If you turned on sort of the air ducts, it just kicked out hot air, and the heaters below were burning my leg through my jeans.
Basically, you were travelling on the Blight bus.
It's like I was travelling on the Queelag Express, and so
piss and fire.
So thankfully, I was absolutely shattered. I mean, I planned on sleeping on the bus on the way down anyway.
Yeah.
But the tumult that had led up to that anyway had kind of knocked me out a little bit. And
as it would, you would have.
And I got the Vita out at a certain point to have a bit of gaming, but just went cross-eyed and annoyed within a couple of minutes, and just go to sleep. I could smell that bloody toilet; it was vile. So yeah, I passed out, and when I woke up, there was less than an hour to go. We were sort of coming into London. All of a sudden, it was amazing architecture and shops that I didn't know the name of, and barely a pound shop and a Greggs to be seen. I don't get it sorted, London.
Was it a real town that doesn't have a Greggs?
Yeah, honestly.
Oh, how are you supposed to have a couple of? How are you supposed to get a sausage roll for £1?
Where's the Queen go for a steak bake? I ask you. So yeah, I got into London, and all of a sudden the change of scenery and familiar street names and touristy places as the bus sort of curved round. It's just like I leapt into an instant good mood, and possibly peppered by the blur of waking up from sleep and listening to good music and stuff. But I was really up for things, but still nervous about tube stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Rob from Plus XP had sent me a text saying, right, this is the tube you need to get onto if you go towards here or towards here, and you're about 15 minutes and you're fine, and that really helped. But still, being sort of shuffling along like human cattle felt really bizarre.
Like a rat in the pipes.
Yeah, and for many people, they you were just an obstacle. You just weren't there. Nobody kind of looked at each other, and nobody sort of smiled. It was
you
all
can
sort
tell the people that do it every day, the ones that just blithely walk along, just oblivious. Whereas I was, like last one I went through, I was looking at every single sign, making sure I was on the right one.
Yeah. So yeah. Eventually, I had to ask a little bit to get to the right platform for Hammersmith, but once I was on, I could sort of see the stations ahead that led up to it. So I was still glancing up every now and again just to sort of, I don't know, reassure myself a little bit.
I did too. Don't worry.
And sort of
3 stops to go.
Yeah,
still 3 stops to go.
Just memorising those last 3 stops beforehand. And yeah, when I got out in Hammersmith, I emerged bizarrely enough into like a shopping centre. I got outside, and there was a bloke that thankfully guided me on a little bit. But moreover, that was sort of going around this curving corner and past the church, which was like an undead parish. It was like, but walking out of there, it was end of the world conditions. It was sort of hammering it down with rain. Like I must have looked like Kenny from South Park, but with like a black, very stylish 70s Parker on. As I sort of held on to the top of it, and sort of tried to figure out where I was going, and I asked. That was it. Kind of got around this corner, and I saw a couple of buildings that could be it. And there was a guy waiting at a bus stop, and the previous bloke had been sort of quite helpful. And I was like, "Oh, do you know the way to?" And this one, I don't know. And then just looked away. I was like, "You are an NPC, but still, you've given me more than the NPCs in BioShock Infinite." Maybe if I just
did he then slide away on a perfect x-axis?
No, maybe I should have then just walked round him and watch him sort of turn around and follow me,
stare at you.
Yeah, but yeah, I got there, and it was like walking through the fog door. Once I walked into like bright lights and warmth and stuff, and went to Namco HQ and surrounded. Well, I met Edwin from Namco. He was like a really nice guy. He was really smiley, looked really genuine. That was great, because I didn't know if I was meeting kind of, "Hi, I'm Bob from PR. I hear you like that Dark Souls." But
would you like to play 2 Dark Souls?
Yeah.
two Dark, 2 Souls?
Yeah. Have a biscuit and sit in the chair. Would you like a cup of tea or coffee? But it wasn't like that at all. He was a really nice guy. But there was lots of coffee and biscuits there. But massive, like when you walked in, there was loads of kind of Pac-Man gubbins. They got the big, massive Tekken fighters that used to be in HMV in Manchester.
Oh, I love those. I've seen those before. I love those.
This
just
was
totally out to deck each other in the face.
This was the thing that made me think of you. You walked in the main room where they've got all the computers, all the tellies set up with PS3s and Dark Souls and stuff. But they got a massive poster of Tekken Tag Tournament 2 signed by all the creators.
Oh,
which was quite nice. But
baby,
they got a massive statue of Fram in the corner, which was about twice as big as I was. So if you see the picture that I put on Twitter of me next to it, I look like one of the borrowers. And then there were all these,
like an albino Oompa Loompa.
Honestly, I was proper touch. But But yeah, there were all these sort of PS3s and sort of chairs and headphones and stuff going down one wall. Then there were more of them sort of coming back the other way. Massive scrolls of Dark Souls 2, sort of at a different place. It was great to walk into. But yeah, I was informed that there were no sort of off-screen pictures and stuff. But
Which is understandable.
So poured a cup of coffee, sort of took a sip, and pressed start, and the opening sort of cutscene kicked in, and there were little bits of that have been scissored and spliced into sort of recent trailers, but it's a really good cutscene. It's a really good cutscene, and the stuff that leads you up to character creation is really inventive and really creative. As people around me were, I saw them sort of running off into the distance at speed and stuff, and I was there. I must have looked like a nutter, because all I was doing was kind of swinging the camera around and looking at rocks and the sky and the distance. And
like when you give someone who's not very good at games a controller and they spend the entire time looking at the ceiling and then the floor.
It was a bit like that, but I was you know, there were really good headphones that we got on. I've always played the Souls games, you know, through sound system and the telly and stuff. So to be that intimate with the game, sound wise, was pretty cool. But you could hear the wind sort of rustling through the grass, and I like pausing in a game and dwelling in the atmosphere of a game. I really love that. And obviously the Souls really means a lot to me, so I kind of took my breath in the world. I tuned out the room around me, and for the most part, and just sort of, whereas other people were cannoning off into the distance, I just walked. And you know, the instant thing was that the walk from Demon Souls and Dark Souls was back. In the beta test, it seemed that you trotted into a run within no time, and I didn't like that.
You were sort of nippy, weren't you?
Yeah, it just seemed wrong, and I didn't know if the focus was on increasing the pace of the game, but it wasn't for me. But they've got that back. They've got the walk. You can just touch on the sticks, and you can take it at a slow pace, and that's what I did. I walked, and you know, I was way behind other people that were in adjacent chairs and stuff, but I was looking at rocks, I was looking at the sky, I was just taking in every last nuance, and that seemed important to me. Also one thing that I realized later on was to jump is the clicking in the right thumbstick.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Which is wrong.
That doesn't
work. As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't work. But in the option menu, there's an option to change it back to circle.
Oh, thank Christ!
So that's what I did, because there was a point later on where I needed to jump to another platform, and I just couldn't do it. So that was an early thing that.
How would you do that though? You'd run with circle, and then you have to click the right thumbstick, but your thumb's already on circle. That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, and it I don't know, it just didn't work. But they're for people that want to try it, I guess, but not for me. But thankfully they've included the original option. What became apparent sort of after the character creation was just a sight that absolutely took my breath away, a nexus, if you will, in the outside world that is seriously, I nearly cried. And once again, I was wandering around this, walking around it, looking out to sea and looking at the sky and these wonderful sort of Cornish coastline affair, and it's I kid you not, I will not laugh about this. It absolutely took my breath away.
Wow.
And it moved me so deeply, and it's something that I go into in the article a little bit. But you know, I struggle with depression at times. I do, and it was something that and the Souls games have often factored into overcoming that a little bit with. It's a world that I can throw myself into and tune out the real, if you will, or you know, perhaps the degree of progression and overcoming difficulties in this leads to real world stuff. I don't know, but it's that whatever the intimate specifics are, that's always been a connection for me. It's always been there, but it's been something that's unspoken, intuitive, I guess. But it's been something that I can throw myself into, and Medulla, as it's called, is just I can't even explain how it affected me. I ran through rocks to this incredible bright sunlight, and
the pictures I've seen make it look kind of like sort of pinky skied, sort of sunsetty, sort of.
It's not that actually. There is a degree of that, I guess. Yeah, you're right. But I just remember feeling incredibly at peace and in awe at the place, but genuinely taken aback at how at home I felt there, and how it's I can't fully articulate how it affected me, but it's somewhere that, as daft as it may sound, it feels like even if I had like a bad day at work, or I you know, regular stuff like debts and I don't know, just everyday blues that might get me down and stuff, I could just put that on and just listen to the wind in the trees and the waves lapping at the shore, and it would send to me. I can't articulate it fully, but because it really genuinely moved me.
It sounds like the kind of place that you could, you know, you could just wander around for a bit and just take it in.
And I did, and there are a lot of secrets that are there as well. There's a lot of individual buildings which contain sort of people and secrets and little alleyways and journeys that you can go to try and find stuff. And within some of those buildings, I presume as the game goes along, people you meet will appear there, probably like Firelink, I guess. Like the Nexus in
characters you might encounter or rescue or that sort of thing.
Demons, yeah. So yeah, and I moved on from there, and the first.
How do you move on, by the way? Because I've not seen that mentioned yet. Do you warp from a file? Do you like get on a little boat or?
There's the first place that you go to is a place that you've seen a lot of the videos anyway, called Forest of the Giants.
Oh, yeah.
It's a place that you can just walk to.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if further on in the game, if other little entrances open up or whatever. I genuinely don't know that. But the game thereafter does a really good job of throwing an enemy at you and letting you react. And it doesn't even signpost things like it in the same way as it does in Dark Souls. Actually, you know, when you're in the Undead Asylum, there are the notes on the floor and stuff that give you a bit of a clue.
Yeah. Like,
it doesn't really signpost things like that, but the guy that sits in the Nexus and at Firelink, the guy in blue.
Oh, why are you crestfallen, bro?
Yeah, crestfallen. He, if you go up to him in Medulla, he answers loads and loads of questions, and for new players, I'd say maybe if you're listening to this podcast and you're a new player, go and talk to him, because he basically tells you everything about the game that you need to know. And he also mentioned, I thought this was a really nice touch, he also mentions about the Covenant of the Blue do you want to join this covenant? So essentially,
wow. So it's giving you one right off the bat.
Yeah, from moving on for a new player, you're protected, but it's unobtrusive to experienced players, but it's a really nice touch and a portal for information for new players as well. So really like that. But also the place that he's sitting at, if you go up to the monument, and I only found this out afterwards, but if you go up to the monument and you click on it, it will tell you how many times you've died in the game.
Oh, that's cool. That's going to be... Oh, man, people are going to be tweeting about that. Oh, God, they're going to be... Look how many times I've died today.
Yeah, so that's going to be... I can see that being a focus awesome. of a run at a certain point. You know, after you've rinsed the game, like, right, if I die more than 20 times, I quit. I quit.
You're playing with the Konami code. I've got 30 lives. Let's do this.
Yeah, so anyway, I went into the Forest of the Giants, and without any form of this is the tutorial or this is how you fight or anything like that, you're sort of given an enemy to fight, then suddenly a couple of enemies to fight, then those couple of enemies, you see that there's someone that's got a bow from a distance. Then it throws a few surprises at you to throw you off balance and keep you paranoid. And within those early moments, what it's doing is essentially showing you how to handle yourself.
I like that. Tutorials that don't feel like a tutorial. Like you just feel like you're learning because these are the things that are happening, and it's teaching you its lessons without going, Mega Man, press A and jump.
Yeah, it's a non-tutorial. And to sort of jump back a little bit, the classes are there's a few more that weren't there in the beta test. Plus the starting classes are very different in the armor and the weapons that you hold.
Yeah, I saw that. They don't look anywhere near as cool as the ones that are in the beta, do they?
They're not as flourished, should we say? Like the Eastern, was it the Templar Knight? The one with the sort of really funky helmet and sort of...
Oh, the one with the polar bear shoulders.
Yeah, the one with the kind of bath mat cloth robe thing.
The halberd and the miracles.
Yeah, that
yeah.
one.
Yeah, polar bear shoulders. He's got a big polar bear on his shoulders.
Yeah, if you will. That class was there, but there was the cape was there, but there was no helm, there was no shield. So you're going in much more bare bones than you originally might. And I chose the warrior class. But yeah, there were a few there that'll throw you off. Plus the depraved is there as well, which is always good to see.
Okay, no, this is a question that I think needs to be answered. Did you rotate around? Is he still wearing a bum thong?
I didn't. I didn't. I just selected my class and kind of fucked off. I didn't even.
Come on, man! Where's your journalistic integrity? We need to know about the butt thong.
I thought I got 3 hours with the game. I'm not spending an hour of that with decision paralysis, trying to get my own cheekbones into the face. Oh, I've got to choose the hair before I can carry on.
It's when the other guy's looking. He's been admiring that arse for a long time. I'm just making sure.
Yes. So yeah, soon after the stuff that I mentioned, it then you go up a ladder and suddenly you're attacked by 5 enemies who know exactly where you are. You haven't really got a lot of places to hide, and it sort of throws everything that you've learned into further panic. You've also got somebody ranging you from distance that you can't get near.
Always helps. A bit like that first run up in the Berg when you're advancing on the very first crossbow guy.
I'm trying to think.
Just after the dragon says hello.
Oh no, it's bigger than that.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy that you're trying to, or the guy that's picking you off at range is way up. Like you can't get there.
Okay.
So you've got to really try and use this big tree trunk in the middle to your advantage and know where to kind of lure enemies there that he can't sort of snipe you, if you will.
Okay.
And at this point, there's and you'll have seen this in the footage that's been on
Is
loads
this
of the video.
the white garbed man?
Yeah, there's the kind of dark man-looking mofo, the invisible man sort of guy that's slumped against the tree, and
Mummy's alive.
and you don't have to fight him. You can completely and utterly fuck off if you want to.
Huh.
If you do take him on, that lad proves a fight. Let me tell you, it's not like this is another lesson that he throws at the player. Whereas you've got your you've had your enemies that will do like the enemies do at the start of Undeadburg and in the Bolitarian Palace, where they'll kind of throw everything at you and then get knackered.
Yeah.
And if you've got a shield, they'll sort of spang off the shield, and it will leave them open.
Lots of effort, but not much skill.
This lad has got about 3 or 4 different attacks, none of which rotate in any particular order.
Oh, good.
So if he does sort of 3 massive swings, he might do that 3 massive swings again, but he might do 1 swing, and he might do 1 swing. And then there's a certain point where he will freeze, and you think, I'm all in here, and then he will throw out an absolute motherfucker of an attack at you. And he's a good early scrap. He bested me a few times. I don't mind telling you.
Does he then, obviously when you die and come back, does he then re-aggro immediately, or do you have to still attack him to wake him up again?
Yeah, you still have to attack him to.
Oh, okay. So if you are like stuck with him, he's not going to be aggro forever.
Yeah, if you're feeling that fight was too much, but
That's a nice touch.
But there's always this feeling that you're the problem. It doesn't feel like it's just to stack the deck against you initially and like, ZOMFG Dark Souls. And the sword that he leaves makes a difference. And this is where I was saying with the black armor stuff that if you then I knew to go back and sort of try and levy some of that stuff against some of the souls I'd earned against being strong enough to hold it, and it made a difference. It made a huge difference, and the progress that I'd made initially, I ended up making much quicker when I was going back.
Would you say that this white chap? Would you say that he reminded you of a Black Knight, for example, the one in the Berg at the bottom? Because it sounds like, again, you can batter him early. It's going to suck, and you're going to die, but you can beat him, and then you'll occasionally get some really cool loot that'll help you out. It sounds like the Black Knight.
Yeah, I suppose it fills that void. It fills that position certainly, but they're very different creatures. And I think
totally. But in the way that here's a challenge you can try early if you feel up to it. If not, it's all right. You don't have to.
Yeah, there is that. I think the thing that makes it a little different is the fact that you're fighting this guy in a very, very wide open space. And there's a tree trunk in the middle that you often will try and kind of get around if you're using a life gem, because you're given a decent amount of those to start off with. But let me tell you, soon run down, baby.
Yeah.
And when you get down to the low ones, you're like, oh god. And this is another reason, to maybe walk back and buy a few and stuff. Moving on from there, it starts then teaching people about listening to the world around them, about different enemies that will attack, those that are hidden. It's not as harsh a landscape, I'd say, as the beta test.
Okay.
Initially, it's more forthcoming with its secrets. It's not, cause the beta test seemed very much like, you're good at Dark Souls, there you go.
Beta test felt like Darkroot.
But this
the Darkroot forest, not the second part of Darkroot, is what the beta test felt like to me.
Yeah.
Like it felt like so it was doable, but there were still bastards in there every now and again.
Yeah. But this is it adds to the structure that I mentioned previously by then making people want to explore, giving them stuff when they do explore, like let them know that there's cool stuff to be found, but also that there are enemies that are hidden, and if something looks one way on the face of it, be very, very paranoid that that's not the case. But it does those with a degree of sort of winding internal sort of paths and stuff like that, and then it takes you up various ladders, it takes you outside, it makes you wonder how you're going to traverse the landscape. Adds further secrets from there, including something that I really like from Demon Souls, which made a further difference to me. And then I ended up getting into situations where there was something massive happened which took my breath away, in the same way as the dragon or drake landing and grasping the bridge in the previous Souls games.
Oh yeah.
And I was instantly like, what? And it really threw me a loop. It was almost like, new players, you're doing well. But it, rather than being intimated, it throws this thing at you. And I ended up stuffing up, but inadvertently opening up a shortcut to a bonfire.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a win.
Yeah. Rather than getting frustrated, I just kind of laughed. I was like, "Well played." And there was I met sort of Peter Serafinovitz's character, Pate, I believe it's called. And the game started to become. It reminded me a little bit of the lower sections of Bolitarian Palace.
Okay.
You know, where you first sort of meeting the blue-eyed knights, but down below those low regions where
when you meet Ostrava, that sort of thing.
Yeah, around there. It reminds me of that.
Okay.
There's
I like that place.
There's certain sort of trapped rooms with traps in there and little puzzles, and I ended up getting into a situation where I threw some bravado at it without realising that something far, far darker would be hiding. Barely escaped with my life again, and then got absolutely battered, where I thought I was going to get away with it, and just cheered. And that's the point where I was like, another cup of coffee, I'm going to grab some of that. I grabbed a biscuit. I said it was like my body was going, this is food for souls, have more. So
nice sustenance and try again.
But bizarrely enough, that was the end of my 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
From going from just looking around and taking in everything really, really slowly, and then exploring really, really slowly, whilst everybody else was seemingly running on, I got further than everybody else in the room.
Nice.
Which was really interesting. So I'd say take in all the nuance, because the game is giving you access to those secrets. But even having conversations with other people in the room afterwards, people had encountered different stuff. Had taken, like our conversations were initially, people had taken on challenges in different ways, and adhering to their own play styles and stuff. And one of the guys that was in there was saying that he'd passed on Dark Souls initially, so he was coming to Dark Souls 2.
Okay.
From a point where he'd not played the game before. So yeah, that was interesting in of itself.
Reminds me of my trip to Manchester to play Expo, to play the demo there, and one of the guys in the queue I was chatting to, he'd not played Dark Souls 1 at all. I was like, really? He went, yeah, this is going to go well, isn't it? And he went, yeah.
But that's kind of cool, because
it was great. No, he seemed to have fun with it, yeah.
The people that came to Dark Souls and loved it, I mean, there's been a portion of folks that bought a Dark Souls on 360 who ended up loving it so much they bought a PS3 for Demon Souls.
Mm-hmm.
But for those people, they'll then get to go back to Dark Souls and then go back to Demon Souls, and maybe that might put Sony in a position, if they're in a decent position if they announce Demon's Souls 2. But there's a lot of lineage to go at for those people, and if they're realizing that there's something special and there's a little bit of a game in there that speaks to them in the same way as Dark Souls did to you and I think that's really cool.
Get it on the PS4, or get it on the PS4 and the Vita. Like, make it cross-platform, baby. give me some of that hotness. I'll take that. Okay, I've got one question for you. It's been bubbling away in my mind while you were talking, and I need to ask it before we get too far and go past it. Okay, so obviously, the big news about invasions is you can be invaded whenever the hell, like whenever you can be invaded all the time. And this isn't the question, but did you get invaded at all during the demo? Or?
It was completely offline.
Okay. I'm wondering, so you can be invaded whenever. Can you summon help whenever, or do you think you have to be human for that? This is outside of the Blue Bros.
I honestly don't know. We were warned at the start that it was offline, and that there would be, if there was a certain point that we got to, that we would have to restart with a different class.
Okay.
So I don't know about that aspect yet. What I will say to you, which will disappoint you, which I don't think I put in the written piece on Plus XP, is that the club is the same moveset as Demon's Souls, not Dark Souls.
Oh.
So rather than the R2...
The Happy Smash is gone.
Yeah, it's kind of that swing that was there in Demon's Souls.
God.
So I don't know if that applies to just the basic club, and perhaps if there's a reinforced one further along, it's going to have kind of the bunny smash, but that's not there.
Oh, just 0 out of 10.
I did find it easier to backstab in this than I did in the beta test.
Interesting, because I heard they were making it harder to backstab.
Don't know. I was fine with it.
Interesting. So I found with my time that I've played with it so far that enemies are less likely to show me their back. Like, interesting. Because I'm usually okay at it, and in the time I've played at the beta and the demo at Play Expo, I found it quite hard to backstab. That's intriguing.
Yeah, I did in the beta test as well, but all I can say is that obviously there's a lot of games still to come, and there's a lot of revelations to come, and I get the feeling that Namco are holding off showing a certain part of the game because maybe there's a huge link to Dark Souls.
Yeah.
That would tie in. But the stuff that I played was just a really good lead into the game, a tutorial without being a tutorial. The game seemed great. I really, really loved it. And I went in a little bit nervous, but with high expectations. But the feeling that I got from playing it was much more rapturous than when I played the beta test.
I suppose that's more you're getting the whole experience, aren't you? Though, like I'd hope that. Whereas taking a chunk out, without context. I think getting it from the start, I'd hope that was the case.
There is that. I hadn't really considered that, but I just felt the stuff that I played was more impressive.
And I think when you get to the points that the betas, when you get to whatever forest, the Huntsman's Copse, whatever it's called, when you get to that sort of point, you'll be your own character by that point. You won't be a prefab. You'll be Bradley Cooper. Yeah, you'll be your guy at that point, and you'll be tackling it your own way. And rather than trying to learn it, learn a moveset there, you'll have your moveset, and you'll be.
But they gave quite perfectly formed prefab characters for doing that. That at least one of those selections for the beta test would adhere to the playstyle of whomever.
Yeah, but then again, my playstyles have never really been standard.
I mean, but the starting classes, like I say in the games, are a little, much more fragile than seen in previous games. I'd say the lack of a shield in
Yeah.
was a big deal. But if anything else, it learned you how to wield the sword. And the one thing that
I suppose
I
it'll teach you how to move as well, like how to get your ass out of the way rather than relying on block. Like,
yeah, the one thing that did impress me as well was there's this real kind of lean in with the shoulder punch, and I don't know if that was in Dark Souls. I've got Demon Souls on now, and on equipping the shield, there's a kind of a bit of a go on in stab, and this was a real. The one in Dark Souls 2 was a real like lean in with the shoulder, throw the full body with it rather than just a jab. So that was kind of quirky.
I'm pretty sure if you're shieldless in Dark Souls, I'm pretty sure it's a jab. A short jab, rather than a big beef punch. I'm pretty sure it was a short jab.
That's exactly what it was. It was a beef punch.
A short jab, and then a sort of parry slap.
Yeah.
Away with you. Get out of my face.
On the other side of things, the frame rate wasn't massively quick.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't drop at all, and it was pretty much akin to what you used to in Dark Souls and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't lightning, but nor did it tear frames or anything like that. But it's a pretty game, except for the fact that there was a few of the backgrounds in Forest of the Giants when you got to the castle, where you actually looked out beyond the castle, and it did look like a bit too sparse. But as I mentioned in the article again, that's all I've got. And, that's me being nitpicky. But I really, really enjoyed my time with the game, and I can only imagine there's one link to Dark Souls in the opening bit, but I can only imagine if there's a bomb ready to drop. Hence why there's spoiler warnings. I can only imagine that's probably going to, I know, glue you to the game to a greater degree as well.
Oh God.
There's also something that I noticed but could only speculate upon at a certain point with regards to the scenery, and something that I noticed from Medulla, which made me go, really? And I mentioned it to Edwin at Namco, and he was like, it's really good that you're noticing and speculating about that sort of stuff. He was like, obviously, I don't know, but I was like,
Ooh.
And I can only speculate. So.
Oh, I want to know about it now. No, I don't. All you've done is add up my hype train. My hype train is travelling faster now.
Yeah, I hope I've been kind of a little bit vague, but also specific as well. Because I don't want to ruin it for anybody. And if you're listening to this and you're going to forget any of this stuff before Dark Souls 2, then that's probably what will happen. But let me just, I hope if anything's come across that it's really good. I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to get my hands on the final game.
Yeah. Well, I am insanely jealous. So goddamn insanely jealous that you got to play it and I didn't. Which I'm sort of blaming you for, because the day I was supposed to go was the day I was leaving you. When I visited you, was the day.
What we'll say is, though, thanks to Edwin at Namco for being like really, really ace when I was down there. He was a lovely guy. And to Robert plus XP for organising it. So,
thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Right, I think we should probably wrap up there.
Yes, I think so.
Well, I'd like to pose an idea. I say pose an idea. I'm going to repeat an idea that I had thrown at me on Twitter about our next Twin Humanities episode, because it's nearly time now. Like we're in T-minus like 3 weeks. 4 weeks. 4 weeks we've got until Dark Souls 2 Day, and we're quite a positive podcast, aren't we? We're quite fanatical.
Yeah,
should it be said? And a man on Twitter, Siderney, Simon Ditchfield, suggested I think it was him anyway, I really hope it was him, I hope I've got this right, suggested we talk about things we didn't like, because we don't often talk about things we didn't like about Dark Souls. It doesn't come up an awful lot. I'd quite like to do that for our next one.
Yeah, okay.
I'd like to do that. And if you're listening and you have anything you didn't like about Dark Souls, please, send it us on Twitter, leave YouTube messages. Where else can we find us?
Well, yeah, we've got it's mainly the. I think we're on iTunes, aren't we?
Maybe.
That's handled by Sean.
Thanks, Sean. No planning there. That just happened.
Thank you for the people that. Oh, you can find us on Twitter as well at Coffee Jesus, at Paddy Stardust, and at Twin Humanities. But thanks to all the people that do send little hellos and say that they look forward to the podcast, because it's really very, very much appreciated. So the likes of Caleb and the Hex and Daniel Owens and Paul Dugan, and it's very, very much appreciated, and all noted. So don't worry about that.
We read every comment and we smile on all of them. Yeah. Oh, and remember, the more you share it around, and the more people listen to this thing, the more stuff we'll probably make.
We'll try.
Yeah, we'll fail, but we'll try. You can guarantee when Dark Souls 2 comes out that we're going to get one a week out. But the more you send us, the more we can talk about. So you've got any questions, just send them along, and we'll always try and talk about them on the show wherever we can.
Yeah.
I think that wraps it up for now.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening. I hope it's been good. I hope do you like us running through sort of the soul stuff from elsewhere? Has it led you on to different YouTubes and stuff like that?
Different YouTubes.
Yeah, it's really well put, wasn't it?
Yeah. Daily Motion. Yeah, it's like YouTube but different.
It's always nice when you kind of. Well, for me, when I discover new stuff like Timur's CBG sort of stream, and I've been recommending Dark Souls Nights, and there's a chap on there that does a lot of YouTube stuff that I'm gonna look into, and I like discovering other areas of the community. So if there's anything in the community you'd like to point us towards, we'll definitely take a look. But let us know what you think of the stuff that we've mentioned so far, and if it's pointed you towards new avenues of enjoyment with regards to Souls, because there's some fantastic folks out there.
On the flip side, anything you can suggest us to have a look at as well. Like I'll click on anything with Dark Souls in the title, pretty much. So send us a thing, and if you like, I will try and look at it, and we will try and talk about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, otherwise, all that remains to be said is. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate it, and we will see you next time, whenever that might be.
Cheer, bye.
Praise the sun.
Umbasa.
Don't know what Dark Souls 2 will say yet. We'll retcon that. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.